Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. This is lecture number 23, and the topic of today's lecture is what is reading. This topic is part of our course Communication Skills, and I'm your teacher Muhammad Asif Khan, lecturer, Department of English, Kohat University of Science and Technology. Dear students, agenda for today's discussion is that first of all we will review 4 skills of language learning, and we already covered this topic when we were studying a listening skill. After that, I will give you a brief recap of productive skills and receptive skills. It will be followed by the main discussion of today's lecture, and that is about reading. In this discussion, first of all, I will define the word reading. After that, I will give you the purpose of reading, and we will also look at the process of reading and the importance of reading. In the last part of this lecture, I will give you the qualities of a good reader, and that is the whole discussion for today's lecture. Starting from the recap of the 4 skills of language learning, the 4 skills of language learning are listening skill, speaking skill, reading skill, and writing skill. These are the 4 capabilities or 4 abilities that allow an individual to comprehend or understand any language, or to produce that language, and we can say that basically these are those skills which we use to produce any language. So for any effective interpersonal communication, we need these 4 skills. Why these skills are important? Because if you want to comprehend, or if you want to produce language, or if you want to use any language, you need listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. Now I will further explain these skills and divide them into 2 main subdivisions. And the first is productive skills. Speaking and writing are called productive skills, because these skills are the skills where you are producing language. Why we call these 2 skills productive skills? We call them productive skills because when you are using these 2 skills, actually you need to produce language. Therefore, we call these skills productive skills. After that, we have receptive skills. Listening and reading are receptive skills, and these are receptive skills because when we are using these skills, actually we need not to produce language. What we are doing, actually we are receiving the information and we try to understand that very thing that is coming to us. So listening and reading are receptive skills. Now we will come to the actual discussion of today's lecture, and that is what is reading. Reading skill is an ability of an individual to read, and after that, when he read that very information, he comprehend that very thing, and in the end we see that he has that ability to interpret that written words which are available on the page of an article or any other reading material which we have. So reading skill is the ability to read that very thing, and then reading skill will accomplish when you comprehend and interpret those written words. So another way of defining the same thing is that reading skills are abilities of a person to decode written language and text. And then the second part of this process is to comprehend and interpret its meanings. The first thing is decoding written language, and the second part is to comprehend and interpret its meanings. Therefore, we say that reading is defined as a cognitive process that involves decoding symbols and to arrive at meanings. The first part is decoding symbols or the written language or text, and the second part is to arrive at meanings and then have that ability to interpret those written words. So that is the definition of reading. So basically, reading is an active process of constructing meanings of words. When we are reading, what we are doing, basically we are decoding and interpreting the meanings. So reading skill is that skill which enables us to recognize the written words or any written symbol which we have. When we recognize those written words or written symbols, then comes the part of understanding the meanings which are hidden in those written words. When we understand or get that message, then comes the part where you grasp the actual information from the text, and you then become able to interpret those very words to the others. So that is reading. We can define reading in a number of other ways, but here I have given you the three important definitions of the reading. Now, if we further explore the reading is a complex activity, and it involves both perceptions and thoughts. From perceptions, I mean that it represents our apprehensions of present situation in terms of our past experiences. And from thoughts, I mean that it is an idea or opinion produced by thinking, or it comes suddenly in the mind. It is that very thing that comes suddenly in our mind. So it is not a simple thing. It is basically a complex activity, and here you form perceptions and thoughts. So it consists of two related processes. The first one is word recognition, and it refers to the process of perceiving how written symbols correspond to one's spoken language. What we are doing, we are relating the written symbols with our spoken language. And the second part of this process is that we are doing comprehension, in which we are making sense of the words, or we are making sense of the sentences, and in totality we are making sense of the whole text which we are reading. So reading is a process in which we first of all recognize the words, and then we comprehend the meanings of words, sentences, and in the end, the whole text. So the purpose of reading, although the reasons for reading may vary, but the main purpose of reading is to understand the text. Now we will look at the other reasons for reading, and this includes that we read to learn new things, and some people read to be entertained, and sometimes we have the basic knowledge and we want to expand, or we are trying to further our understanding of some idea, concept, or some anything. Some of the advantage of reading includes like gaining a deeper understanding of the text. When we are reading, actually we are increasing our comprehension power. When we read, we actually expand our vocabulary, and as a whole we are improving our written skills, because these four language skills are interconnected. When you are hearing a lot of stuff of that language, your spoken skill improves. And when you're reading a lot of stuff of any language, as a result of that, your written skill improves. So these are the advantages of the reading, and we see that when you are aware of this very thing, you can adopt different strategies for improving your reading power and for improving your understanding of that language. So now let's move towards the process of reading. Basically, readers make use of background knowledge, vocabulary, and grammatical knowledge in which they already have with them, the grammatical knowledge or the vocabulary of their first language or the language which they are learning. And along with that, they have experience with the text and other strategies which they have learned, and it helps them to understand the written text. So basically, a reading process involves 3 stages. The first stage is pre-reading, and in this stage we see that when you're reading, it allows the reader to activate their background knowledge. And what we do, we preview the text and develop a purpose for reading. So that is the first stage of reading, which is called pre-reading. And in this, we are basically activating our background knowledge. We preview the text and develop the purpose for the reading which we are doing. Then comes the second stage of reading process, and that is during reading. In this part, we see that the reader makes predictions, and then we see that either they confirm these predictions or revise the predictions which they are doing. The third stage of reading process is after reading, and we see that it allows the reader to retell the story or to discuss the elements of the story which he has read or the text which he has read, and he is now able to answer the questions, and he has that capability to compare this text to another text. So these are the 3 stages of reading process. The first one is pre-reading, the second is during reading, and the third is after reading. So these are the 3 important aspects of reading process. Now let's analyze the importance of reading. That why do we read? So reading is important because it develops our faculty of thoughts, and it gives us endless knowledge and lessons. When you are reading, basically we are sharing the experience of an intelligent and experienced person. So from those experiences, basically we attain endless knowledge and lessons. So reading books can help us learn new things or to understand the concepts which are happening around us. And in the end, we see that this reading process, reading of books and reading process makes us smart. So when we further explore the importance of reading, we see that it sharpens our mind and improves and expands our memory and the focus when we are reading. So with the help of reading, we improve our vocabulary and we strengthen the writing abilities, and reading is that skill which enhances our imagination, and we start imagining new ideas in our mind. In the end, we see that reading is a perfect entertainment, because if you are connected with this very thing, it lowers your stress, it relieves your tension, and we see that when you are having no tension and you are having a low stress, it means that it boosts your health, and the most important outcome of this entertainment is that it boosts your sleep. So these are some of the values, important values of reading skill. Now we move towards the qualities of a good reader, and the first quality of a good reader is that he visualizes things, because when he has that quality, it allows the reader to form mental pictures about what he is reading, and it helps readers' comprehension of the text. By visualizing the characters, the setting, or the events, we see that the reader will be able to make connections with that material. The second quality of a good reader is that a good reader activates schema. From this, I mean that it allows students or the readers to make connection with previous experiences, and from developing that connection, they have better comprehension of the text. So students can make text to text or text to self or text to the overall world scenario connections, and by developing these text to text, text to self and text to world connections, he has a better comprehension. So making connections allows students to understand and remember what was read by him. Basically, activating schema is the quality of a good reader. After that, we have another quality, and that is the quality of questioning. Questioning gives the reader a purpose for reading and writing. When he questions, actually, it provides you that why you are reading this text and what is the actual importance of this very text for you. When you have the purpose for your reading or writing, it makes you a good reader. Then comes the inferring, and inferring means that reader comprehend what is not exactly written in the text. Readers draw conclusion by using his prior knowledge, and he mixes his prior knowledge with what they have read in the text. So basically, a good reader uses the text and refers to the other aspects which are connected with the prior knowledge of the reader. Then we have another quality of a good reader, and that is determining importance. In this phase, we see that reader decides which information is most valuable to the text, and when he determines the importance, then the reader is able to remember the details about the text. And in this way, he activates a schema to understand the major points being offered by the author in that very text. When he is clear about the importance, that which part of information is the most valuable part of that text, then it is very easy for him to understand the central idea of that discussion. After that, we have the phase of monitoring for meanings, and we see that in this phase, readers or students regularly stop and review what was read in order to check for understanding. He is not just going through the material. He stops sentence after sentence and he checks his understanding of the text. So students are not reading for speed or to read the entire text. When he is monitoring for meanings, actually he is reading to comprehend the text. So that is the important stage and important quality of good reader, that he monitor for meanings. And in the end, we have the quality of synthesizing. In this phase, students take information from different places in the text and make new meanings out of it. So that is called the synthesizing part of the reading process, and it is one of the quality of a good reader, that he synthesizes new meanings out of these meanings. So qualities of good reader are visualizing things, activating schema, questioning, inferring different things, and then determining the importance of that text, and he monitors the meanings, and in the end we see that a good reader synthesizes new meanings out of the information which he choose from different places, and he gives us new meanings. So this is the lesson about reading. In this lecture we discussed the reading process, and we started our discussion with the recap of 4 language skills, and then I defined the productive and receptive skills for you. After that, I have given you the working definitions of reading, and we also discussed the purpose of reading, why we are reading, what is the purpose behind reading, and we also discussed the process of reading that consists of pre-reading, during reading, and after reading. We also evaluated the importance of reading skill, and we discussed that how reading improves personality of an individual. In the end, I gave you the qualities of good reader, and specifically we discussed that how a good reader visualizes things and activates schema, and how he use question answers for developing purposes of his reading, and how he infers different perceptions which he already has in his mind, and develop new ideas. And then comes the quality of a good reader, in which he determines the importance of the text and he monitors the meanings, and in the end we see good reader synthesize new meanings out of the text. So that is all about what is reading. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope now you are having a better understanding of this process. So thank you very much for listening passionately.